I'm sharing this video because Judit interviewed me recently on my journey to raw veganism and what I've overcome with binge eating, low self-worth, lots of insecurities, some health issues as well. But I do share in this interview my transformation because it's quite incredible in where I've come from to where I am now, especially emotionally and spiritually. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want information on Judit as well, all that's in the description box. Enjoy.
I just want to start over and I just want to say it's so amazing that I can meet you over Zoom because you're
Amazing.
such an inspiration. Thank you so much. I follow
Thank
you
you.
and yes, you're amazing. It's just, you look amazing. I mean, that photo on the rocks where you just like don't have clothes on and then you have to, you show off your I laughed so hard on that post when you posted it. You said that the rocks hurt you so much.
It gives you a lot of confidence, this raw journey.
Yes, yes. Tony, I just want to ask you, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself and how did you become a raw vegan and your story as well?
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, lovely to meet you, and thank you for having me on your channel. And
Yes.
yeah, I feel very honored. So, thank you so much. It's been a long journey, but in a nutshell, so my name's Tony from Yorkshire in England, and I moved to Thailand around 7 years ago. And I knew I was destined for the tropics. I didn't like the cold. I didn't like the opportunities of where I was from was very limited. So I felt very restricted and confined where I was from. And even in England, I felt it was not my calling. So I did travel a lot over my 20s, trying to find where do I belong. And I've always had an open mind, thinking and lifestyle very different to what everyone else was doing. And I realized that quite early on, I was a little different. I was quite alternative. I was always looking for natural remedies, just natural ways of doing things. I always looked to nature. And as a traveler, as a wanderlust explorer, I knew there's something in nature that we can always seek the answers. But at the time where I was from, when I was going back to where I was from, I got heavily into self development and seeking deeper answers and just trying to figure out things. And I felt very alone for a long time because the things I was talking about with these alternative ways of living, or just knowing that at the first sort of like call was I didn't want a 9 to 5 job. I felt the system
Yes.
didn't serve me, and it felt I was very depressed every time I'd go back from traveling. I didn't quite know exactly what it was at the time. I couldn't articulate it, but I was not happy. I was feeling very alone and isolated, and
Mm.
just felt different at the time, but I didn't know what it was. And so I started reading a lot of spiritual books, personal development at the age of 19. So I had a lot, and I were using food in the way for me to numb and escape
Mm.
the uncomfortable feelings that I was going through. I was comfort eating. So I would often find myself in the supermarket buying excessive amounts of junk food and sitting in my car and just crying, eating, just didn't know what I wanted. And then when I was traveling, I still felt quite lost, but it was a lot more freeing for me. And then I had to go back. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was into health. So I was working at the gyms as a personal trainer, fitness coach. And so I've been in wellness for over 20 years. And I was on every single diet, always restricting. Then I would be binge eating. And
Mm.
then I would exercise excessively, like 2 or 3 hours. And it was such a vicious cycle that went on all over my 20s. And I really didn't know what was wrong. I was always seeking out. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I cope? Why can't I do life like everyone else does? Like everyone seems to be having a family, settling down and having a job and then just accepting that life. And I didn't want, I knew I wanted something, but I didn't, something different to that. That's all I knew, but I didn't know what it was. So now I look back, it was just not in alignment with the way I wanted to express myself, in the way I wanted to express my life. Didn't want to be restricted and confined. And the only way to cope with that was to eat and to numb it in some way. I didn't know what else I could do. But through traveling and looking at different lifestyles in the world, I knew there was a different way of living and better way. And I just knew that I had a purpose. I knew there was something more. I loved animals and I'd loved health, but I didn't quite know exactly what it was. So it was all part of the discovery. And I know now it's that was part of my journey to be able to share that now. So very confused, conflicted. I had a dysfunctional family. So I left home at 16 and I wanted to escape. That's all I want. All I knew was I need to get out and find who I was, who Tony really was. And yes, set off traveling back and forth, coming back, earning money, going back traveling, being a bit of a beach bum to try and find myself, then working excessively, just being lost. And then it wasn't until I found this lifestyle of high fruit, pretty much a fruitarianism and raw veganism was around 13 years ago. And that's when I went vegan, actually. I met my friend James here in Thailand. I came every time I'd go traveling, I would volunteer at dog rescues. That was my main mission. So I had something, but I
Mm.
didn't know exactly what that mission entailed long term. And when I came out here, I met him at the dog rescue, and he was eating like 10 bananas at the dinner table at lunchtime. And everyone else was just, well, this is crazy. And we started to discuss the dog meat trade. And at the time, it was very high in the outskirts of the north of
Mm.
Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia. And I was horrified. I didn't even know that existed. I was like, dogs are slaughtered and eaten? Like,
That's horrible. That's horrible.
yeah, it was the first time I'd seen so much neglect of dogs, our own
Mm.
pets. Into that's why Thailand, and that's why I'm here. And that was 13 years ago. I was so traumatized that this was going on, and yeah, that totally transformed my whole life of my purpose here on Earth. And it was the conversation on that day that really cemented my path, really, of veganism. And he was a fruitarian, so I was curious. I was like, all fruit, and I'm open-minded. I don't shoot anyone down. I'm like, nah, that's not good. Everyone else
Mm.
was uh, not interested, and he said this statement that forever, yeah, changed my life. He says, well, I don't eat animals because I don't agree with eating dogs and cats, and I don't. It's the same as a cow, a chicken, and a pig, and I was like, and he says, and I love animals. I said, I love animals. I don't want to cause any harm. And then when he was talking about the atrocities in when I had connected the dots, like they're eating dogs, yeah, what's the dip? We're judging them for eating the dogs and the cats. We're eating cows, chickens, and then you learn about the speciesism and how we're discriminating and how we've just been conditioned. So that set me on the path of what else are we being conditioned to do that's not really in alignment with our heart. And I realize now, like, I've been going through my life without being in alignment with my heart. Everything's felt, no wonder I felt disconnected. I knew I had a super love for animals, and then I was eating them. No wonder why I was low vibration and not feeling my best, and then keep going to these addictions. So it started then the veganism, and then the eating more fruits. But I went back to England, fell in, you fall in the trap of eating. I was eating vegan junk food, but I was vegan. I went vegan, and then it wasn't until around 8 years, 9 years ago that I set on the path of high raw, because just naturally through learning about this lifestyle, traveling, spending time with other fruitarians and raw vegans, it really, yeah, it reinforced that this is healthy. I'm feeling good. And then it just made sense. I love animals. I want to help animals. I want to be the voice for animals. I was doing activist work over in England, and then sharing it online. And then the health, I've always been passionate about health, but I didn't understand what true health was until I got on this path. And no wonder I didn't want to push it before, because I didn't understand what true health was until I experienced it myself. And the more raw days I was eating, the better I was feeling. And I was not emotional eating anymore, because I stopped, not only worked through. So it's more than just raw foods, but raw foods catapult you into really digging deep in your wounds, your traumas. All of us have deep wounds that we haven't healed, got so many unmet needs. And that's what it was. I had so many unmet needs in my childhood. No fault to my parents. I had to go through a phase of blaming, just like I did when I went vegan. I was blaming the world. I was angry at society, and now I transmute that and channel that in a much more kind of compassionate, more of a way of, I understand now, if we're angry, if we're bitter, then that only harms us. And that's why everybody's doing these atrocities, these harm, if they self-harm in yourself, it's inevitable you're self-harming others if you're not kind to yourself. So self-love came into play with that. And the more I discovered the love for myself and others, and helping and contributing, like helping with the dog rescue, and knowing that I have to be healthy. I always use the analogy of, if you're going on the plane and they say if there's an accident emergency, you put your own gas mask on first, then you can help others. So I really went to work on all of my healings, and I juice cleansed in 2020. Instead of getting angry with the world again, another, like, is when you find out the truth and you see all that uncovered, what really happened and all that side. Instead of being angry and against, I went within. I was like, where am I lying, being not so nice to myself? So that's when I did the juice cleanse, because I knew I wanted to be. That's when I went fully raw vegan in 2020, when all that happened. I went within, instead of being in fear, which is what I ran on most of my life. That's how I lived, and most people live. We live in fear, and this is why we do these addictions. And we have, there's alcohol, there's drugs, there's food. Mine was food, and it's the biggest addiction in the world. It's the hardest and the most challenging. And I knew from 2020, if I really work on my food addiction, I'll heal so much, because I'm not running away anymore. I'm not escaping. I'm not numbing. I did a lot of work with the high raw vegan, and I never set myself out to be fully raw. But it was a natural given, the way you move. If I'm continuously growing and being mindful and conscious in my life, it has to happen. It needs to be. I need to be raw. I need these high frequency foods to vibrate high, to be who I really want to be, who I am, this light worker, this empath. And that's when I realized who I am. It's a label, but it's who I am. I'm not here to just be in the 3D. I'm here to share the downloads I'm receiving. And I know you was asking before about the spiritual side. It really amplifies the connection. And it's like some of these like comes out of me before. I never truly, I get it now. I'm like, it makes sense. So I'm really delving deeper into the energetics of food, and who we surround ourselves, our environment. No wonder I needed to escape. I needed to leave. I couldn't. I felt at the time in England, I couldn't escape. I didn't know what opportunities. I didn't know what to do. So I used food just to try and keep kind of sane and be in that. And that's what people are doing. We're putting our box. You've heard of the fleas in the box, in the jar. They did an experiment with the fleas in the jar. And what they end up doing is they tighten it so that they get used to it after a day, 2, 3, and then they slowly lift the lid off, and the fleas have no desire to expand, to get out. And that's
the same. Yes. Sorry to interrupt you. That's the same as the crabs in the bucket. A lot of people need the crabs in the bucket. They pull each other down, and or the frogs in the hot water. First it's cold water and then they turn up the heat
Yeah.
and then they don't realize it. No, you're
Yeah.
totally right. It's
And it's
100%.
it's the people around you. So yeah,
Mm,
the crabs in the bucket is about the people around you. What they do is the crabs naturally they drag you back down. And
mm.
the fleas in the jar, what the fleas in the jar, the jar represents society.
Oh,
That's what we're locked in. They're suppressing our light and what we are capable of. And when you break free of that, if we keep succumbing to addictions, you're powerless, and I've always been
mm,
into empowerment and taking our power back. And that's the only way we're going to break free. We have to start kindness, love in the world and for
mm,
ourselves it starts on the plate. What are you eating? If you're eating dead animals, these animals
mm,
that were traumatized, they suffered,
mm,
even if they say, oh, my cow, I've got friends in agriculture and they have their cows on their farm and they still kill them at the end of it. They've looked after them for the years they lived
mm,
in better conditions than most, but they still die. They still been traumatized, and that adrenaline, that energy, because energy can't be
mm.
destroyed. It has to be
Exactly.
transferred. And when you learn about this and you're absorbing their energy, I'm like, no wonder why I was
Yeah.
vibrating lower and not depressed. Well, I'm depressed and full of anxiety. I'm taking on
Uh,
their energy.
yes. Yes, sorry. I just want to say because you have a higher vibration, it's easier to face the world as well. So when your
Yeah,
energy is higher, it's not like people can easily pull you down. They can't easily pull you down because you're much stronger and energy is more compact. It's faster
yeah,
and you can also stand up for yourself, stand up for the animals, and you can spread a really awesome message. What you're spreading about animal cruelty and supporting the animals that are suffering, and finding new homes for them. I see that you're also part of a community there in Thailand, and it's just so important, these things. And I find that since I'm eating healthy and I'm fully raw, and my body is healthier, so I don't have to focus on my body that it's sore, it's in pain again. I feel good. I feel energized every day. I don't have to drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol. I don't need any of that. Like you said, the addiction factor, and you can connect with people in other ways other than food. Because what I realized is everybody thinks that you have to connect with food. You don't need to have food to connect with other people, but you can actually only do that when you're higher vibrational, because you don't have that need to have the food in front of you, connect with them. You find other ways to connect,
yeah.
to make this world a better place.
Yeah, and that was a biggest shift because I know people
Mm.
feel that's the biggest reason why they don't go raw, they don't eat as well because they want to fit in society
Yeah,
and their social settings.
the
But yeah, there's
shows, yeah.
many ways to connect. We don't have to use food to connect. I know culturally for many it's a big part of their lifestyle,
Mm.
but why don't so because I'm so embodied in this, like and initially when you first, and I know some are I think when you step into leadership and truly embody who you really are, when you really discover, and that takes time, that doesn't happen overnight. I've been there myself in my 20s, wishy washy, following, trying to figure it out, find myself. But when it just clicks, it's like nobody questions. Like I'm doing potlucks, I invite people over, they all eat raw. When I go over to do visits, I bring all the raw foods and they love it. And then when I organize any get-togethers, it's a given that I decide where we go. Like I do have a strong personality, but this
It's,
hasn't just happened
yeah.
overnight. I've always been outspoken, but there's been times I've been suppressed where you've spoken out, and if you've not got that like like strong embodiment, I do feel you can be challenged and it can knock you, and it has in the past. The more I'm on this path, the more I'm so in my truth. No one questions it. No
Mm.
one even says I'm weird anymore. It's just like they're inspired. If anything, most people are inspired now. I don't have a doubt in my mind. Like no one gets that from me, and everyone is more like, yeah, I
Mm.
should do that. Yeah, there's always questions, and I embrace that. but there's no real resistance anymore. Like when you first go, when you're not too sure. Now it's like we ain't going to that place because it's not in the environment, everything.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very rare I even go to any restaurants that offer any, and I have recently, I went to one as a friends gathering. I just went, I didn't eat, I just had some coconut water, and I was more focused on the connection, the engagement, rather than worrying about, oh, what
Yes,
I'm eating. It was never a question. And
exactly.
before, it used to be. And because I used to be socially inept. Like I used to have a lot of social anxiety. I didn't like big crowds. And I've really, what happens when you eat, like I say, it gives you the confidence, the raw foods, but it gives you a trust that you are always safe. And that was my biggest thing, never safe. And when I'm in crowds, I felt a lot of pressure. And instead of now, it's more of how can I get to know them? Get to know somebody really. So if it's a superficial environment, I tend to avoid them. I can adapt, and I know that was one of when
Mm.
something's uncomfortable, I'll lean into it, and that's the difference now. I challenge the challenges that I'm going through. Any resistance,
Yes.
I go through it. I go in, and that's through the trust and
Mm.
through this whole journey with the raw foods, because people would say you could get to enlightenment or you can go towards a spiritual awakening, have these awakenings without the raw foods. Well, I don't know if you can truly, is it truly inner standing? Because
Mm-mm.
again, these low frequency foods, if you're eating animals, you're eating dead foods, there's channels that are blocked. This opens up our channels, opens us up more than just physically, the blood and oxygenating the blood, but it's so much. That's why I focus a lot more on. I'm really into this, the psyche, the spiritual aspect of raw living
Yes.
foods. That's where I'm driving towards. I feel a lot of people come to me with the recipes, and I know how I put myself out
Yeah.
there with how I look, because I didn't want just that skinny. There's a lot, sadly, it comes with stigma of
Mm.
raw vegans. They look skinny, they look weak. I
Yeah.
didn't want, I, so I knew
You're
it was
nothing weak
more
and
than
nothing,
that.
nothing. Yeah, sorry. I just want to say you don't look nothing like that because you work
Yeah.
at it.
And that's it. I want to show people that we can still,
You
I
have
want
a
to be
six pack, you
relatable.
know, you.
Yeah. I want to show people that we can still be fit, look
Yeah,
after
that's
this vessel,
amazing.
because we can feel, and we are sexual beings as well, and there's I used to avoid that, as in the
Mm.
stigma. Sadly, there's so many stigmas, and I'm all about breaking them. Like we can be connected to divine, and be sexual, and be who we want to be confident and look
Mm.
good. We can have it all. Why can't we? There's nothing wrong with having it all, and I do. So that's I want it all, and I will. We can have it. So yeah, the fitness has always been part of my passion, anyways. But I wanted to prove that you can still be strong, and it was more for my own to
Mm.
see. Okay, are they again, another lie that's put out there? All this propaganda, like, oh, this
Mm.
vegan died because of this, or this vegan, look at the malnutrition. And I'm like, oh, I know so many
Yeah.
fruitarians that even mono eat, and they are thriving. They look incredible. They're not even aging. They're reduced. A lot of people have got premature aging way too fast. And we don't have to
Mm.
accept, like I was just having a conversation with my client, Dwayne, who's staying with me. He's lost 30 kilograms in 2 months. He's doing so well.
30, 30.
30,
I
yeah.
think I've seen his video. That's
Yeah,
very
just done the
inspirational.
second interview.
Yes.
He's incredible. He's just done
Yes.
26-day juice cleanse. He's just finished it. He was going to go to 40,
Wow.
but we're going to leave it for now, and he's going to focus on the fruits. And I think he'll incorporate some salads. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going. I've lost my thought.
Sorry, you were saying about Wayne, your friend who's staying with you?
Why did I mention it? There was a reason why. I've got my green juice here as well. My lemon
Sorry.
ginger. I have this daily.
Is that the lemon ginger blast? Or
Yes.
which one is that? That's the one, yes. From
Oh,
Corona.
yeah.
I'm
I
not
just
sure if
tweak
it's a
it.
doctor. I can't remember now.
I tweak it with
Sorry.
I just add in a bit of mint as well because I like the mint. But it's a daily drink juice I have, so he's been focusing on that. But yeah, he yeah. So with when you do a juice cleanse, I mean any detox, I've done the detoxing, and I think there's a place for detox. And it should be just focused on regeneration. And then we focus on the building because I am super passionate about making this lifestyle sustainable. And even if it doesn't look like it's fully raw vegan, at least it's something that is in alignment and a way that you can experience at least high raw. So we have with the detox, then we have the building phase, and within the building phase, people can just stay there and not even have to do the detox because naturally, if you're going towards more raw foods, you're naturally going to detox. But people, depending on the health issues,
Mhm.
then we would. It depends on where someone's at, but the building and showing people that actually you can get stronger, you can recover a lot faster. Although I was talking about premature aging, yeah, I was saying to Dwayne that was my reason. Uh, I actually feel
Good.
younger than I did in my 20s. I'm 38. I feel like I'm aging
Wow.
backwards.
You
Feel
look amazing.
Thank you. I'm stronger I'm doing less in the gym than I've ever done, like 45 minutes. And I do between 4 and 6 sessions a week. Before I was training every single day, doing 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. And I was
Mhm.
restricting. Then I was binge eating. I don't have any of that now. My focus is my food and the way I eat, and I choose nourishing foods. And that's the difference. Having the choice, knowing you're choosing gives you that power. I'm choosing foods that are going to serve me and love me back rather than self-harming using the foods that are not serving at the highest good. And so that was being a lesson learned through this journey is the mindfulness eating. That's why I encourage tools like meditation to give you the power that you have a choice every day, moment to moment. It's
Mhm.
when you're doing the work is when you are really learning and growing and when you're right in it. So I feel that the building phase is the most challenge for most people. Detox is actually because you've got a protocol, you know what you're doing. It's like a juice cleanse, for example, you know what they're doing, they can rest. It's the work, is the building, repopulating the microbiome, the gut, and getting the gut used to these raw foods and feeling your best. Because I know some people who come into this lifestyle, they struggle initially to eat as much raw foods and all these fruits and veg, but you can have a push through it, which I do, and I don't disagree that it works. Or you do the cleansing, and just learn to mix it. And this is why a coach is helpful because then the process is much more fun and enjoyable. And yeah, I've learned so much on this journey and I love continuing to learn, but I keep it simple. Like, look to nature. Nature's simple. Like, just slow down. When you're sick, fast. When you're hungry, eat. Get back to that intuitive way of eating. We've lost that, but we can get back to that through the satiety sensing, which is only developed if we have this connection to ourselves in the meditate, if we're just being present and being mindful. And I know it's cliche and over, but it's so powerful. And that's what the raw foods, the meditation together can really help you appreciate life and the little things instead of having the
Yes.
overstimulating world, because the world is chaotic. It
Yes.
is. You look
I
how
just have a quick, yes, I just have, sorry, a quick question about the meditation. Do you meditate every day? Can you maybe
Yeah, I
tell
do.
us what your day looks like? Do you meditate in the morning? Do you wake
Mhm.
up and meditate? Have your juice? Or maybe you can just run through the daily routine.
No, I'm very aware that I would love to say I'm in my feminine energy all the time, where I just listen, I'm in flow. No, I'm very much in my masculine. I need rituals because
Mm.
the reason why I say, and I believe it's a huge factor in my success, is because most people do need structure. We need parameters. It's like the vegan diet. When you first go vegan, raw vegan, you need discipline, you need a structure, you need to not have these negotiables. I call these non-negotiables. Like if you want to
Mm.
grow, it's got to be, it's, people are all about not having stress and pressure in our life. No, that's the key. If you can accept that, actually, there's times in life where you've got to be gentle, but there's a lot of times where we have to say no. We've got to cut the excuses. So rituals help us create success, because otherwise we're just in the survival drift, I call it. The world will take you where the world wants it to go, and the world wants you to be sick. It's not, I'm not disempowering it. If anything, I'm empowering people by saying this, because when you realize that when you go out in that world, you are faced with not even just obvious, like the advertising, it's all subliminal, the sounds, everything's on purpose. Every time we go out in malls, anywhere we go, everything's there to overstimulate the mind, all the senses. So if we can be equipped with that, we are going to take so much power back, and life's going to be a lot more effortless. So rituals, I call them the bookends of the day. So I mastered these very early on in my personal development journey. I knew if I master my bookends of the day, all else will fall in place. So I have a morning routine that takes it can vary, but I initially started out with just 5 minutes of each. And I read a book, The Power Hour. I can't remember the author's name. There's quite a few books called The Power Hour. So they said the three most, what gets people in their zone of genius, or where they start their day up with success, is the three main ones is the meditation, the reading, and movement. And I've done other things. I've mixed it with yoga. I've done, and that comes under movement, and there's, and I can to maximize time. So I look at, if you haven't got the time, if anything, if you haven't got the time, then it's more crucial. So 5 minutes of each at first. I was just doing these three. So when I wake up, I do not rush out of bed. I do not like to be late, and that creates a lot of anxiety. So give yourself that ease into your day. So these are great starters. So having the meditation, because meditation is easiest when we're in theta state, when we're just waking up, when we're in, it's even like you're still in a state of like hypnosis. So you're more suggestive. Anything that you want to create, you want to wake up with a good intention, then use guided meditations. I just do mindful meditation now. I'm just very aware of my surroundings. Are you still there?
Yes, yes, sorry, you just a little
I
bit.
thought you crashed. And
I can,
so the meditation can be
yes, I
so
can see it.
simple. They can be so simple meditation with just the mindfulness, or guided. If you feel like you got too much, but the earliest you do it, when you first wake up, is the easiest, so that you can be in that state of you're relaxed before you even look at your phone, before you do anything in the world. You're not then in chaos thinking, you're just in relax, and that's the easiest time. And then I do like to write a gratitude list after I've meditated, and any ideas that came up I write. And then I go into reading, and I've read for years. I read a self-help book, meditation, any meditate, or spiritual book, or anything that changes my perspective, or just opens me up. I love learning new things. So but I'm really into the psyche, the self-development, spiritual, esoteric. And I do 20 minutes, and that equates, if you do 20 minutes of that, it's one book a month. One chapter is one book a month. That's 12 books a year. Imagine your whole lifestyle, the way you're going to think and feel about yourself will change, especially if you focus any on area that you feel challenged. Do that every day, like brushing your teeth. Do it consistently. And then movement, some form of movement. And if you've not got the time for all of that, you can put your audio of self-development or something whilst you go for a walk or go to the gym. So I initially started 5 minutes of those, so 15 minutes. But now, I mean, with the power hour, you can do 20 minutes of each. I would strongly suggest that. And then I do a lot longer than that now, because I just love my ritual. And then I'm ready for the day. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I'm excited. There's always some, and what gives me to get on, because I read a lot of these ways of optimizing the day. So I read like Eat That Frog. So get the first thing that's very you got to be very in tune and very focused. I get them out the way first because my mornings are usually the most productive. So I've worked out over the years when I'm most
What time
productive.
do you wake up? Sorry, what time do you wake up?
Naturally now, I used to set my alarm for years for like 5:30, 5 a.m. But now I naturally 5:30 and 6 a.m. I just naturally get up. I don't set my alarm and I allow myself I never go past 6 a.m. Never, even without the alarm.
Okay.
I like it.
And
I'm
when
an
do you
early
go to
morning,
sleep?
around 10.
Sorry, when?
Yeah,
10. So you do get a really good, about 8 hours sleep, which is great.
7 or 8.
7,
Yeah,
8 hours. Do you find that since you're raw vegan, you actually you don't have to sleep so much? I
it
find that there
varies.
is
Yeah, it depends on what I've got going on lifestyle wise.
uh,
But if I've got most of the time, it equates to about 7 or 8 hours. Yeah, if I'm on juice cleansing and fruits a lot, then I generally need less. But if I have nuts and seeds, salads can be a little heavier. So that's when I realize when you're having the cooked food, you need more sleep. And I'm
definitely.
all for, especially in the beginning, wanting to have less sleep because you want to maximize your time, especially if you've got a full-time job and you want to leave that full-time job. But now I'm like, well, if you need that, but why do you need it? Why do you need all that? Because you're eating heavy foods. But I'm sorry, my dogs are barking like crazy.
No problem.
So the way to I eat 4 hours before sleep. So if I want good quality, because it's all about the quality of sleep. Like I used to worry that I'm not getting enough. Like I always used to believe in the 12 hours sleep, but you don't need when you eat a lifestyle that is when it's light, yeah, you need less and you don't feel like you need 4 hours of good quality sleep between 10 and 2 a.m. A lot of research is showing that deep rapid eye movement sleep is between 10 and 2. Sorry, someone's at the door. Can I
No
just
problem. Yes,
go
go
out?
ahead. Go ahead.
1 second,
Attend to
just
that.
because
No
the dogs
problem.
are going to keep barking.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Hello. I think it's not working. Homer. Oh, yes, me, Tony. Catherine, thank you. Homer. Sorry.
No, that happens.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I feel less sleep as long as it's deep quality. So if you're stressing that you're not getting enough hours, just relax. Just even relax in like the meditations. But I do have a ritual at the end of the evening. So I do like to meditate before I go to sleep, and I listen to something soothing, something that nourishes my heart, and just yeah, it just helps. As soon as I listen to it, though, I just go straight to sleep. So it's like my hypnosis. But I do like to write what my three most important tasks the next day. So there are a lot of masculine energy there. And then, but the rest of the day is more my feminine flow because I go with what my intuition feels like. I'm flowing through the day with much more, yeah, different to how I used to be read every hour was like, da, 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 da. But now I'm really tapping into, and if it wasn't, yeah, this whole lifestyle opens you up to much more ways of expression and being who who you are from the heart, the truth. So I realized I used a lot of masculine energy, and that's where the disconnect was. And now I'm more in my feminine. But rituals really help, and they allow me and say it's not a negative having disciplines in your life, these parameters, because these are what is going to give you freedom. Now I've got so much more freedom. Choose your hard. We're always saying about this choose, what's harder is in this survival drifting through life passes you by, but you're like a pinball machine. You're just constantly being attacked through life, you know, and reacting and then eating mindlessly because you want to numb, distract, escape, you know. And now I'm much more aware of, okay, how do I want to respond to this? I'm much more present. It's life changing. So it's a different identity, different life that I've ever lived in through all my years, and it's just only getting better.
That's awesome. And you also see your clients during the day? You have a lot of,
Yeah,
obviously you run your own business. Is this your full-time business now
it
that you
is.
do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you explain to us what kind of products you offer, or is it one-on-one coaching, or you have books? Or I think you have also books available. And yes, you can talk about that if you would like.
Yeah, I've done many things. I've had many clients online for many years, and I still have lots of long-term clients that work with me. They end up just being my friends for life, and we work together and end up being more like an accountability. I find
Mm.
that's where people need the most, just that continuous support and just know it.
Community. Yes.
Community. So yeah, so that's
Okay.
why I've opened up the Rawlicious app. I have a free Raw Living group, but and now I have the Rawlicious app. I wanted a place where everything was in one place. So they have the fitness, the workouts, the recipes, the meditations, everything that I talk about is all there. And then the community. And then I'm on live calls twice a week. We do a meditation once a week, and we do one like workshop together. So I've kept it for like those that want more of a lower ticket and they want to have that accountability,
Yes.
action plans. That's what people look for: action plans, accountability, and being able to have access to their coach. So I wanted to make it really affordable, so cheap, and easy, because I'm
I think
not
it's
driven by
$9.
money.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's $9. I looked,
Yeah,
I think yesterday, and that's really, really good price. I mean,
yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, it's important since I've been a raw vegan. I mean, there's nobody around me that's a raw vegan, not in the vicinity. So
yeah,
it's nice. It's amazing to have that community you needed just to connect with people. And you know, sometimes we go through hard times, and we also need that, especially if you're going through the detox phase and you don't know what's happening. You don't know, you can't always consult a normal doctor because they might not be able to give you the right advice. You know, and all you
yeah,
need is just someone who's might have gone through the same detox phase, and you just want somebody to reassure you, don't worry, that is perfectly normal, you know, to what you're going through. And sometimes you're going through hard times, especially if you're doing a juice cleanse. You know, a lot of things will come up. You know, the universe is
yeah,
showing you so many things to just let go of, to integrate that energy back into the higher vibration, you know, all of beliefs. And, you know, sometimes it's just about that, knowing that other people are also doing this. You're not alone. It's not like only two people are in this world that are raw vegans. There's a lot more, you know.
there is. Yeah, you realize you're not. There
Mm.
are so many more people that there's big shifts, and it's really amplified this year. I've seen like more, like there's thousands and thousands now are really looking into the truth of what real healing is. People are
Mm.
doing the work now, and it's refreshing, because it felt so alone for such a long time. And people are needing that support because it ain't online, it's not in the mainstream. They're
Mm.
desensing everything.
Mm.
And it's a real, yeah, that's when you start to look at why they're doing that.
Mm.
And then, so as soon as what you've been told on mainstream, go the opposite way. And to find that is not easy to find who else. If you resonate with this, then you know you need to detach, come
Mm.
away from that mainstream.
Yes, yes. And what I wanted to tell you is that what you mentioned about how the nutrition totally connects to your spiritual, frequency, and everything that's going on in your life. Everything is connected. I don't think the world that we're living in now, we're just shifting to higher energy. Everything is connected. So if somebody is trying to let go of negative beliefs or trying to raise that frequency, it's so much easier if you eat a raw vegan or a high raw vegan diet, fully raw or a high raw, because like you said, that energy, you're not struggling with it. It's you're spending an hour, let's say, meditating and getting into that theta or delta wave frequency, and then afterwards somebody has a big meal of meat and chips, for example, and all that hard work is now going down the drains in a way. So if you eat this light food that doesn't weigh you down, doesn't make you tired, it makes you happy, then you're just continuing with your development. So what I actually found with the raw vegan eating, the fully raw vegan eating, uh, things will come up to me, all my negative belief systems, like when you're meditating. Sometimes when you're meditating and things will come up and, oh, I have to, work on that. I have to, that actually happens to me a lot when I'm eating, especially fruits, and if I'm
Yeah.
having a lot of fruits, especially when you juice fast, but I mean, you can't juice fast the whole time. But
Yeah.
especially when you're eating a lot of fruits, it happens to me the same feeling. So it makes it so much easier to just ascend or just letting go of your negative beliefs and just to be on a much higher frequency. And that will make you stronger as well, like you mentioned. Like you don't have to struggle against all these people around you. You actually stand out and you can hold your energy,
Yeah. Yeah, it does
you
give you
know?
superpowers. I agree with that. I always talk about the edge. It really gives you that edge.
Yeah.
It's a different feeling. Like when you truly don't know that until you do it. Like until you're on this path, it is really one of those you have to do it. Like people kind of know, but they never truly understand it until you've experienced it. And that's why I say to others,
Yes.
like, you just got to try it before you even have any
Yes.
doubts. The
Yes. No, that's correct.
cleansing, it's going into all your tissues. It's really cleaning out all those stuck emotions, those
Mm.
block channels, but just really, yeah, re-energizing the cells and the tissues. It's so much more than your physical. It's the emotional, mental, spiritual. It's all connected. It's
Oh
very
my God.
healing, and it's a process that people get frightened of because they become so light and they feel like they need to ground through heavier food because they get so light, but they don't realize there's other ways of grounding. Then again, it's not using food. It's not actually, it's about the elimination of things, not accumulating. Let's focus on grounding, just putting the feet on the grass, reading a book. Grounding is, again, it's intentional. We're using so many excuses to go back to what's familiar, what we've always done, because that's what the world is doing out there, is confusing us so that we go back to what's easy, what's familiar. And what
Mm.
feels easy, as we all know, is not easy in the long run because of the sickness,
Yes.
the ill health that comes with it.
Yes, yes. That's awesome. I totally agree with you. And what about water fasting and dry fasting? What's your take on that? Because there's been a couple of big questions people have been asking about it. What's your personal opinion on that?
I feel for most people that it's not necessary. I really don't. I feel you can get everything you need is in the fruits. If you're going to do a cleanse, it's a juice cleanse, it's just fruits. But I know some people want quick and fast results, and this is potentially the problem. We are instant. We want things fast. Yes. Even when I say like the juice cleanse is kind of like a fast track to reset the gut. A water cleanse is really only necessary because I do have some really good friends that are water fast detox specialists and dry fasting. And like anything that comes with stigma, like even with cleansing and detox and raw vegan, there's always something, when people are flip-flopping back and forth, but every journey is individual. So with the water fasting and something I I don't encourage it, but I'm not against it. Even the dry fasting, I wouldn't even say I know enough to support it or not support it. Like I have my dry fasting friends, um, and I know Hilda Larson, and there were a few people, experts that passed with who knows exactly, she was a dry fast coach, but and there's only a few people that's passed. It's so interesting. People always assume it's the diet, but who knows what else they're doing. So we never truly know. We can't totally
Mm.
be against it. And this is why I'm open. But I feel if someone's in critical care and critical health, sorry, there's maybe a use for it. Maybe there is. Maybe the dry fasting. I've seen incredible results from what my friends have witnessed, and of what they've supported. So yeah, I'm not. It's not something I do and share just yet. I'm
Mm.
not going down that path. I feel we get all the healing, everything we need through our structured water, which is the fruits. So, but I am a big believer in if we get any little sickness, any like flare up in the throat, something, I do 24-hour water fast. So I intermittent fast actually as a whole lifestyle. So
Do you do
I've
that
been
every
doing
day?
yeah, most of the time
Is
I'm
that okay?
18 hours or 16 hours fasting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I eat between 6 and 8 hours
Mm.
every day. And then I'm all about that fasting because it's sustainable. I'm not sick. I don't have a critical health condition. So I feel there's a place, and dry fasting, I've seen, like I say, incredible results. Um, but where do you draw the line? Because, are people getting too, but who knows? Because even that's open to debates. But I'm for I'm more of lifestyle, sustainable. I don't work with chronically ill people.
Is
I
that
work
that's
more
that yes.
lifestyle.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you a question is exactly about that. You led me to that question about illnesses. The people that come to you, your clients, what are the most common illnesses that you get clients to come to you? You said you're not doing any serious critical illnesses, but anything, I assume, you can maybe just tell the listeners about it. What are the most common do you do work with clients that are ill to a certain extent or not?
Yeah, to some, if there's some, there has been some with cancer, and I've had some really good friends with cancer, and I've advised. But I'm mostly about preventative because
Mm.
I've never truly experienced like mine is more focused like chronic fatigue and skin issues, and allergies and all that can be, rectified through just raw vegan. My protocols, I've set protocols for weight loss, cleaning out the bowels, getting rid of the mucoid plaque. For cancer and things like that, I do believe I'm a big advocate of cleanse the bowels, all disease from the bowels. But in a long-term sense, I'm not, I don't. I advise, I have a lot of other friends that I will advise them to go and see. So I'm more preventative lifestyle,
Okay.
weight loss. But what comes of that, they start to heal their issues, So I'm more preventative. I focus on that. And that's where I feel most comfortable. And like I
Mm.
say, with that, the weight loss is it it's the biggest thing that people come to me for, the weight loss, and then they end up getting what they really need, which is their addictions, getting rid of their
Yes.
addictions and really working on their shadow. So we really work on healing that aspect, which they don't always expect when they come to me. And that's why now I'm a bit more open with how I help others in that
Wow.
way, because people think
Yes.
they thought they're just going to come for a fitness program. Used to, that's what I was always for, the fitness
Yes.
program and the weight loss. And I don't really focus on plans anymore. I want people to be more explorative in their lifestyle and their diet, and it's very individual to them. I don't say eat this, 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 this. As in, I focus more on abundance of foods, but I get them to eat smarter and listening and get more in tune. So we work on a lot of lifestyle tools.
Great. So yeah, one more question quickly is that do you believe in mucoid plague?
I do.
There's okay, you've seen it. You've seen things coming out of people and
Oh
okay.
yes. That's all we talk about is
Okay, great.
poop. Yeah, poop and the gut inflaction. Yeah, all that. So yeah, I've seen it, and there's it's yeah, it's interesting where people see it as a myth, and it really is not. When you've experienced it, and I've been in the wellness for over 20 years and in the colonic centers as well, and I've seen what comes out of people, and even they've tested these mucoid plaques, what's in them, and it's all these, compacted waste that's stuck together, and it's full of all these new ecosystems of parasites, and it's all there
Oh,
absorbing your nutrients. So you wonder why we're sick. We're getting anything. People plug in all these vitamins and minerals and all these things. They think they're doing good. No, you've got all this compacted waste all stuck there lining your gut, your colon. Get that out, and then you can start choosing. Well, you just need the food. We don't need supplements. So you was asking me about as well about the supplements. I actually don't take anything. I've checked. I regularly yearly check my bloods and things like that. I'm not a big, again, it's a very subjective because it's different. Benchmarks are all different all over the world. I look at B12, it's like treble the what it is in China compared to England's levels. So I just go on as long as my levels are fairly consistent, and I'm feeling good, then
yes.
I can lift heavy. If I'm not getting weaker, I'm not constantly getting sick, I'm on the right track.
Yes, of course. Then you check. If you don't feel 100%, you will just check it out and be proactive. I also
Yeah,
don't really take any supplements because I just feel intuitively. I know a lot of people say that they do the intuitive thing, but it really works for me.
yeah.
I can feel it when, my body tells me eat that, for example, that's specific. And I'm like, why do I need to eat that? That day I was so craving that specific
Yeah,
fruit or vegetables. And then I realized, okay, well, the body tells you, you need a bit more of this, a bit more of that.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. This was amazing. And you are an amazing person. I can't believe your energy is just so strong. It's very impact, like, it makes me stand almost like, you can't absorb that high energy. I can feel it that you
Good.
are really living what you're saying. That's really who you are. You are so convicted of it, and
Mm.
it's just you're such a great example for all of us and all the people that are thinking about becoming, doing this lifestyle and eating a raw vegan lifestyle. And like you said, it's everything encompassing together, the food, the exercise, the meditation. It's actually a lifestyle. It's not just a diet.
No.
Because yes, and it has to be long term. So I think what you're saying is I totally resonate with that. Is that what you do is you don't just say do this um for example juice cleanse and afterwards you can just eat whatever you want, go back to your lifestyle. That's not
No
what
point.
you advocate. Yeah, it's you
Yeah.
saying this is a long-term thing, you must make this your own, and I mean not everybody will have your routine, but it's like something similar that works for them. So I totally
Yeah.
resonate with that.
Yeah,
That's
I want to I say about fast tracking, there's tools we can use to help us move in not necessarily a fast track, but more of just a much more enjoyable experience. And then I've learned, okay, this works for my clients. Because I've worked with hundreds of clients, if not in the thousands now, if you count my offline in the UK. And I've seen like what really moves people to much more in connection and much more resonance and alignment rather than flip flopping. I want to make this I want to just make it as easy as possible. It doesn't have to be all grind. There's disciplines, like I said, there's parameters, but choose your hard. I don't like to call it choose your hard. Just choose your what would you call instead of, because I'm very
Why? Choose your.
conscious of words now, because words are spells and they can be limiting or
Yeah,
empowering. So like even the challenge, like I always named my challenge, because I do often these challenges, 21-day challenge, 30-day fruit challenge. And I like to say feast now. Let's call them feasts, because they're not about restriction. And it's not a yes, it can be challenging, but again, it's not as empowering, is it? So yeah, and
I
I think if
agree.
anyone could take away anything from my journey is it's just mindfulness and consistency. If you can master the consistency and be more present in your life, like just doing the things that are self-nurturing, self-loving, then it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience. A very sacred, I call it the sacred
Yes.
experience.
And we are worth it. You know, I am worth it. I'm worth to stay healthy and not feel sick.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be accepted by everybody around me. You know, you have
Yeah.
to live your own life and you have to be true to yourself. And if you just follow what's your highest, you know, goal that you
Bless.
want to
Yeah.
achieve, your dream, then you will be surprised how much nicer your life will turn out. A lot of people are full of fear because they have to change their life. They're gonna maybe lose some friends, you know, their social life might change. But I feel so much more amazing because at least some of the people that left my life and that are not part of my life, I don't need them because they were
Yeah.
pulling me down anyway. So it's like so nice to see that in hindsight, but people don't see it. Unfortunately, we all full of fear. We can't be free of fear 100%, but that's what but we must actually face our fears
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
know
Trust.
reach our dreams.
Hmm.
And if this is part of it, some people feel called to go raw vegan, then do it because it's worth it, you know,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, it's the
yourself.
trust. It's trusting. It's just trusting.
Mm.
The Carl Cease says it as you never you fear the um what we always want to know. I'm messing this paraphrase. I'm gonna terribly, but basically we're frightened of the unknown, but that's the exciting part where it ends up being so much better if we can just trust. Because once we let go, what opens up for us, and that's yeah, we hold on for these identities, these
Mm.
these patterns so much because it's what we've always known. And if we can surrender that was my biggest thing in 2020 is my affirmation was surrendering, just allowing, letting it come up. And it's not easy at first, but the more you do it, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you trust, the more it's gonna be lighter. It's not as heavy, it's not
Mm.
as dense. Let's go for lightness. Let's go for more love
Yes.
and lightness, and that's where the bliss is.
Yes, I think love is the most important, you know, energy, because with that we can conquer all. And first of all, we have to love ourselves, I think, before we can love others and accept others. And I think the world struggles with that. But I think we are going into an age where it's definitely more positive than a negative, you know, belief
Yeah,
systems. I think people are freeing themselves. I think, let's say, someone like you would be at the forefront of it. You know, you would be the leader to lead the people there, you know. But I think the average person can also do it. You know, they can just start today doing the
yeah,
meditation, like you mentioned, connect with the universe, and your whole day just feels amazing. Like when I do yoga, you know, after, let's say, I've been sitting in the traffic and I feel all over the place, and then yoga
mm,
just sorts me out. Even just like 10 minutes, my energy calms down. Yoga for me really works. I do meditate
yeah,
as well, but I feel so amazing afterwards. It just puts me in the right energy, and I feel so
yeah.
much more loving, not so angry after the traffic, you know.
Mm, I get that.
So I
Yeah.
think All right. Thank you, Tony. I don't want to keep you. I don't know if you have another appointment after
I've
this.
actually got a rescue. I think they're at the door. Hang on one
Oh,
second. I have another dog, a little gorgeous rescue from the
oh,
government dog pound. She's about 4 months old, but she had distemper, I think, and her legs
oh,
are straight at the back. So she's disabled. I've just taken on a disabled dog, and now I have another disabled. And my friends went to pick her up, and I said after 2 o'clock, but I'm not sure. I heard some commotion outside, but I'm not sure if they're here yet.
yes.
But yeah, I look. This is another thing. When you've got the energy, you can do all your passions that you want to do. I'm so much
Mm,
more. Like my days are so full, but also there are times where I have a lot of quiet times. Things you need to work on. I can choose to
mm.
have quieter periods, and I seem to able to sort that. The universe just works in for me when I need that, when I need to have
Yes,
some
it's
just own time.
synchronicity,
Yeah,
synchronicity, and it
yeah,
happens right then if you just let it, because our ego wants to take over and wants to know exactly how it's going to happen. But if you just let go, then everything just works out perfectly. It happened to me before. If you just that like 1 or 2 days, just give yourself where you don't trying to force anything,
yeah.
everything happens for the right reasons. No, no.
Yeah,
Thank you
you've got
so
to
much.
listen. You're welcome. Thank you.
I really
Very nice.
appreciate, yes, that you could accommodate me and that I could interview you. You are an amazing person, a real inspiration to everybody. And I would love to do a follow-up interview in the future sometime. And then I
Awesome.
could maybe ask you more questions and find out more in detail of some of the things we didn't get to chat about.
Yeah, I would love that. And also I'd love you to have you on my channel as well. So I'll send you a link and see when it's good
Okay.
for you. We can chat.
Sure, sure, no problem. I would love to do that. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank
And I wanted to
you.
tell you, I'm gonna be in Phuket with my husband in March. So
Really?
I was
Let's
thinking that we must
connect.
meet up, and then we can always do a live interview. Not a live interview, well, next to each other, we can sit, and then we can do
Yes.
an interview, and that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Just to meet in person, and then we can always look at your different things that you do there. We could do a couple of videos maybe. That would be
I would
awesome.
love that. Have you been to Phuket? Oh,
You
I
just
think
froze a bit now. You just
yeah,
froze
you
now.
did.
Sorry.
Yeah. Have you been to Phuket?
No, it will be my first time. My husband lived there before and he's
All
been there a
right.
couple of times. So this would be my
Amazing.
first time. So I'm like really looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Oh, and
Yes.
have you already booked your area where you staying?
Yes, yes. I think it's. I don't want to say something that's. I think it's Caron. I will
Oh,
just
Karen.
let you know. I will message
Lovely.
you while we book the area. So
Yes.
but we're gonna have scooters, so we can just drive around and
Oh, I'd love to
see.
connect. Yeah, let's keep in
Yeah,
touch.
yeah. That's always very empowering, to meet other raw vegans as well.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. I'm excited. Good for you. It's your first one as well. So yeah, we must connect. I'd love to see you here.
Sorry, you were just breaking
I
by.
know.
Thank you
I was just
so
saying I
much. I'm
can't
gonna say goodbye.
wait. Okay. Well, lovely, and
I'm gonna
have a
say
great.
goodbye.
Where are you? May I ask where are you now? What country?
I'm in South Africa, but
Oh,
I am
South Africa.
Hungarian origin. Yes, I grew up in Hungary until I was 16, and then we moved to South Africa. My dad got a job here, so I've been living here since 1995. But then we moved
Oh,
back to Hungary for 8 months a couple of years ago. But we didn't like it, me and my husband and our daughter.
oh.
But we just decided to come back because we like it more. The weather is so amazing. Yes, I'm in Pretoria in South Africa. I don't know if you've been to South Africa.
Yes, I did a whole like university because I studied animal science. So we did a lot of like Mahola Hola, all the Kruger National Park, then we
Ah,
did all that.
nice.
So yeah, beautiful. Oh well, I must like
That's
when I
awesome.
interview you, I've got lots of questions for you then.
Okay, great. That will be
Okay.
awesome.
Yay.
Then
Oh, so
yeah, we
nice to
can chat.
connect.
Nice
Yes.
to connect as well. Thank you so much, and you have an awesome day. And yes, and Take care of your doggies.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.